Okay, so this will be a free lecture on labor laws, no? As already mentioned, sponsored by Philippine Association of Law Schools and Rex Bookstore. Okay, so before we start, I would like to remind you that many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. So you're almost there. Mga magbabar ngayon, malapit na yan. Don't give up. Okay? Minsan napapagod. Rest if you must, but don't quit. And our discussion will be taken from this book, Labor Laws and Social Legislation. Of course, Rex Bookstore yan. Kapangalan natin yung author. You have other needs for other subjects. You have Constitutional Law 1, Consti 2, and Public International Law. Now, for other lectures, you can also go to this YouTube channel. Mag-subscribe na rin kayo para umabot na tayo ng 100,000. Ano? Then you may also join this Facebook page group, but please answer honestly the questions para matanggap kayo. And you can also join me on September 18 for a question and answer on labor law. At libre din ito, no? Because our goal is to help you reach this part para makasama niyo itong si Madam, kasi pag kasama niyo na siya, that means you are now signing the role of attorney, and that's the culmination of your dreams. Parang kay Taylor Swift, wildest dreams. Pero para maabot nyo yung dreams ninyo, wag gagayan si Taylor Swift. Wag puro blank space. Okay? So, labor is based on the Constitution. You have Article 13, Section 3, that the state is mandated to afford full protection to labor, local and overseas, organized and unorganized. So by now, alam na ninyo yung kaibahan ng organized and unorganized labor. Of course, promote full employment and equality of employment opportunities for all. Yan naman ay paasang probisyon sapagkat 1987 pa yung Constitution. Hanggang ngayon parang wala naman tayong full employment opportunities for all. And guarantee the rights of all workers to self-organization, including the right to strike in accordance with law. That's the reason why government employees are not allowed to have a strike, because the law does not allow them. Okay? The right to strike must be in accordance with law. While in the private sector, you have the labor code. Right? Article 278, strikes, picketing, lockout. So there's a law authorizing you to have your strike, and if time permits, we'll go to that extent. Now, labor laws are based on police power. Okay? Police power, sabi dyan, the most comprehensive, least limitable, all-encompassing of all the powers of the state. It may regulate rights and liberty for the promotion of the common good. So, sabi ng Korte Suprema, labor contracts are subject to police power, at ang makikita natin dyan ng manifestation ng police power, yung Article 128, the visitorial enforcement power of the Secretary of Labor. At any time of the day or night, the regional director, the Secretary of Labor, or labor regulation officers may visit a workplace and check if there are violations or if the employer is complying with labor standards laws. That's just an example. There's still so many of them. Then, social justice. Of course, we did not recite the case of Kalalang versus Williams kasi yan ang paboritong reference pagka social justice ang pinag-usapan. But suffice it to say na nakikita natin yung social justice sa labor code, particularly Article 4. But remember, social justice must only be exercised and be granted to those who are deserving. You cannot invoke social justice simply because you are poor. In the same manner that the labor laws are construed in favor of labor only if there is doubt. If there is no doubt, do not interpret in anyone's favor, because while labor laws are for the protection of the workers, they're not intended to destroy or even oppress the capital. Diba? At may mga protection sa labor, kasama na yung ating occupational health and safety standards. Ito, nangyari ito nung panahon ng COVID, di ba? May infection dun sa lugar, ayaw mo mag-report. Sabi ng employer, mag-report ka na sa trabaho mo. Ayaw mo pa rin kasi nga natatakot ka for your life or health. Can you do that? Yes, according to Section 6, Republic Act 11058, you can refuse to report back to work without reprisal from the employer. Di kanya pwedeng gantihan o balikan o tanggalin because your life and health are at stake unless the employer would implement corrective measures para mawala itong danger na ito in the workplace. Okay? Now, the Labor Code talks about different kinds of employees. In fact, there are 4 in the Labor Code, but the Supreme Court added one more. Ano yun? Yung mga fixed-term employees. So you have regular employee. Ito, alam ninyo, di ba? Article 295, any person who is engaged to perform activities which are necessary and desirable to the usual business or trade of the employer. The problem with the Labor Code is that it does not want to use the term permanent employee. Why? Baka magkaroon ng false hope na may forever. Walang forever kahit sa pagtatrabaho, di ba? Kahit na permanent ka, pwede kang matanggal eh. So what is a regular employee? He or she is performing activities necessary and desirable to the usual business or trade of the employer. Ang example niyan, yung mga private school teachers. You would not enroll in a school without a teacher, di ba? But you can enroll in a school at siguro walang security guard, walang janitor. So therefore, yung teacher, on the first day she reported for work, regular siya. Kaya lang subject to probationary period. Okay? So sabi ng Ditiangken versus Lazada Express, ito yung mga delivery riders, sila daw ay regular employees ng Lazada. Why? Because activities which are considered usually necessary or desirable in the employer's business generally depends on the industry. Online selling platform ang Lazada. Makukumpleto ba yung transaction kung hindi siya i-deliver? Sige nga, papayag ba kayo na yung inyong online purchase i-deliver online? Therefore, necessary and desirable yung servisyo ng mga delivery riders. So yan ang sabi ng Korte Suprema. Employees who perform activities which are necessary or desirable in the usual business or trade of the employer may be regular, project, or seasonal. So kaya pinag-iba-iba natin yung project, seasonal, at saka casual sa regular. Now, sino ang casual employee? Casual employees may also become regular employees dahil dun sa second category ng Article 295, hinire mo yung casual employee kasi hindi naman related or walang connection yung trabaho niya, no? So incidental lang yung ginagawa niya. But if that casual employee lasts for more than 1 year, or at least 1 year, whether continuous or broken, ay magiging regular employee yan. Okay? So may apply lang natin ito if you satisfy the fourfold test. Okay? So in your screen, makikita ninyo yung fourfold test. That the presence of these tests would establish the employer-employee relationship. Pag nawala yung isa dyan, wala ng employer-employee relationship. Okay? And according to the Supreme Court, the most crucial test is the control test. Ano ba yun? That is the power of the employer to direct the employee as to the manner, method, and means by which he would perform the task. So if you have the control, you are the employer. And the person you are controlling, mahirap-hirap yan, is the employee. Now, applying the fourfold test in a 2017 bar exam, is there employer-employee relationship between the jeepney driver and the operator? Sagot ng Korte Suprema, meron. It is not a case of lessor-lessee. It is employer-employee because the operator still controls the manner, the method by which the driver would perform the task. Diba? Sabi niya, bihira naman kasing nagpa-file itong mga driver ng illegal dismissal kasi una, baka hindi nila alam. Now, even assuming alam nila, abala yan pagka nag-file ka ng kaso eh. Diba? Kaya walang masyadong jurisprudence on that matter. But the Supreme Court is saying there is employer-employee relationship. Okay? At ganun din yung mga taxi driver, di ba? Di lalo na yung bus driver. Okay? So, if there is employer-employee relationship, the employee enjoys the constitutional and statutory right to security of tenure. What is that? Article 294, that is the right of every employee not to be dismissed. in the absence of a just or authorized cause and without due process. Now take note, even probationary employees are entitled to security of tenure. Okay? Hindi porke probationary yan, pwede mong tanggalin anytime. No. Pag tinanggal mo yan before the end of the probationary period, let's say 6 months, before 6 months tinanggal mo, you must have cause and observe due process. Otherwise, that would be illegal dismissal. Probationary, yes, that's the ruling of the Supreme Court. However, pag natapos yung period of probation, that's the time for you to decide whether to renew the contract or not. Diba? Pag pinagtrabaho mo siya beyond the probationary period, that means you are regularizing that employee. The Labor Code does not have a title or chapter or article entitled illegal dismissal. When is there illegal dismissal? There is illegal dismissal when the employee's right to security of tenure is violated. Okay? So, tinanggal mo siya without cause, whether just or authorized, and without due process, yan, illegal dismissal yan. In violation of the right to security of tenure. Now, what are the entitlements? Entitled talaga, no? Of an employee who's been illegally dismissed. Reinstatement to the former position, if viable. Now, if it's no longer viable, a payment of separation pay in lieu, kapalit of reinstatement, plus payment of back wages. Okay, walang kinalaman yung mga picture, ha? Now, how do we compute back wages? Back wages must be computed from the time of illegal dismissal until reinstatement. Now, there are times hindi nare-reinstate yung employee. So the computation is up to the finality of judgment without qualification, without deduction. Sabi ng Korte Suprema. Hindi ko nababasahin yung mga kaso, kayo na magbasa. Nasa screen naman ninyo para ma-speed up tayo because we have limited time. Okay? So what does full back wages include? Full back wages include allowances and other benefits from the time they were withheld until reinstatement. Now, if not reinstated, until finality of judgment. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now, sometimes, sabi kanina ng Korte Suprema, the employee may no longer be reinstated dahil may dahilan. There must be a reason. Parang si Pink, di ba? Just give me a reason. Ano kay Pink, kay Lady Gaga, a million reasons. Ayan, but just one good one to stay. Ano yung mga dahilan para hindi na siya ma-reinstate? Ayan, old age, the position no longer exists, the establishment is taken over by another company, or insolvency of the employer. Wala kinalaman yung picture. Closure, may closure na kaya sila. Or strained relations. Ano naman yung strained relations? Well, ito, ayaw mo na eh. The payment of separation pay is a viable alternative. Kasi if you feel that you are dragging your feet to work every day of your life, palagay ko, kailangan mo nang bumitaw. Diba? Hindi na healthy yan. So, magpabayad ka lang ng separation pay. But, payment of separation pay in lieu of reinstatement must be justified. Wala ito sa Labor Code. Only jurisprudence provides for it. How much is separation pay in lieu of reinstatement? That is 1 month's salary for every year of service. Wala yan sa Labor Code. Yan ay nasa jurisprudence. Sargasso Construction versus NLRC. Walang kinalaman yung picture. Okay. So, gaano katagal ang probationary period? Normally, under Article 296, 6 months. Any employee who's allowed to work beyond that is considered a regular employee. Now, for private school teachers, it's different. Tagal lang di tinatanong sa baryan. Kasi ang sabi ng Korte Suprema in the case of Palgan versus Holy Name University, yan sa Bohol, no? Ang sabi, ang Department of Education daw ang magtatakda ng mga kondisyon para sa mga probationary period ng kanilang mga professors or teachers. Ano yung standard? Naglabas noong 2010, actually may nauna dyan, 1992, ang DepEd, na maraming maraming issues sa mga DepEd ngayon. Ang DepEd ngayon, ano? Lalo na doon sa curriculum, sa confidential funds, and so on. At doon sa mga laptop na overpriced. Alam nyo naman, nasa news naman yan. Di ba? So it's the Manual of Regulation for Private Schools. Okay? at nakikita nyo sa inyong screen, gaano katagal. So general rule, not longer than 3 school years. So kahit na semestral, di ba, 3 pa rin yan 6 consecutive semesters or 9 consecutive trimesters. Okay? So pag natapos ba, nakatatlong taon ba yung teacher, permanent na siya? Sabi ng UST versus NLRC, hindi. Dapat siya ay full-time. So mga part-time teachers hindi magkakaroon ng permanent status. Naka 3 years na yan. Take note, yung 3 years na yan, that's the maximum. That's not the minimum. And the service must have been satisfactory. Hindi kailangan ng outstanding performance. The law and the decision of the court would just say satisfactory performance. Of course, based on the evaluation criteria known to the teacher at the time of engagement. So kahit na permanent ng employment, matatanggal pa rin. Meron just cause for the dismissal. Pagka pina-enumerate sa inyo yan, isulat nyo lahat, encode nyo. Digital ang bar nyo eh. Okay? Now, huwag nyo uunahin yung letter E. Maglagay muna kayo ng foregoing. So ano ba ang problema sa Article 297? The employee is at fault. The employee was the one who initiated the dismissal. Sabi ni employer, it's not me, it's you. Diba? So, ano ba yung mga dahilan dyan? Nakita na ninyo. Sabi ng Adamson University Faculty Union, the misconduct, no matter how serious, for it to be a ground for dismissal, must be in relation or in connection with the work of the employee. Pag walang connection sa trabaho niya, ay maaaring hindi ito pwedeng ground for dismissal. Okay? Eh si teacher nagmumura. Di ba? Ay may connection ba ito sa trabaho niya? Oo naman. As molder of minds of soon to be. Productive citizens of the country, masamang halimbawa ito, sabi ng Korte Suprema. So that can be a ground for dismissal. Now, letter E, other causes analogous to the foregoing. Ano yung foregoing? Ano yung analogous sa kanya? Abandonment. Abandonment is a form of neglect. Deliberate and justified refusal to continue with employment. But before you dismiss an employee based on abandonment, you must satisfy, the employer must satisfy the elements. Number 1, the failure of the employee to report for work without any justified reason. 2, the existence of overt acts that would show to the employer that the employee has no intention to report for work anymore. Diba? The mere failure of the employee to report for work does not support a charge of abandonment. Why? Parang sa jowa mo yan, di ba? Like ko sinasabi sa mga estudyante ko ito eh. Na kapag ka hindi ka tinext maghapon, hindi ka man lang message sa Facebook, huwag mo isipin na inabandon na ka na. Baka naman may dahilan. Di ba? Baka lang walang cellphone, walang load, walang signal, kasi mga internet providers naman natin, para mga jowa nyo lang, dalas nagloloko, di ba? Ang dalas unstable. O yan. Eh, nakalipas ang 3 buwan, di ka man lang message. Tinignan mo yung Instagram, in-unfollow ka na. Blinak ka pa sa Facebook, in-unfriend ka pa. Aba, iba ka abandonment na yan. Okay? So, how do we dismiss an employee based on just cause? There is a procedure. And the Supreme Court has been consistently ruling that the employer must give the employee 2 notices bago siya tanggalin. Okay? So, yung first notice must specify the grounds. Normally, ito yung notice to explain. Please explain within 48 hours why no sanction should be imposed against you. May mali doon, yung 48 hours mamaya, di ba? So, pinagpaliwanag siya. Nagpaliwanag naman. Eh, alam nyo, kahit magpaliwanag ka, pagka may desisyon ng gusto kang tanggalin, tatanggalin ka. Like kung sinasabi, hindi ka na talaga magiging sapat sa isang tao na iba na ang hinahanap. Kahit anong paliwanag mo niyan, pag ayaw na sa'yo, hindi ka na niyang papayagan pa. So, bibigyan ka na ng notice. Okay, that's the second notice. Notice of termination of employment. Now, what is the period required by law and by the decisions of the court between the first notice and the second notice? Bigyan mo ng at least 5 days to explain. So mali yung 48 hours lang or 72 hours. According to the court, in that case of distribution versus Santos, dapat 5 calendar days. Why? To give the employee the opportunity to study the accusation against him. Consult a union official or a lawyer. Gather data and decide ano ba yung depensa niya. Di ba? Nakataya dito yung kanyang kabuhayan. Kaya wag naman 48 hours lang. If the employer fails to give the notice, that may be considered illegal dismissal. Okay? From the time you gave the employee the first notice, kailangan pakinggan mo siya. Hearing requirement is complied as long as there's opportunity to be heard at hindi yung actual hearing that was conducted. Okay? So hindi natin kailangan ng trial type hearing dito. Yung una mong notice, sapat na yon dahil binigyan mo siya ng opportunity to explain his side. Eh hindi siya nagpaliwanag. O nagpaliwanag man, nagturo pa ng iba. Di ba? Ganyan yung mga Pilipino eh. Ha? Ang unang commandment daw, 11th commandment, huwag kang pauhuli. Pag nahuli ka, invoke the 12. Huwag kang aamin. Pag napaamin ka, invoke the 13th. Ano yun? Magdamay ka na iba para hindi ka nag-iisa. And remember, the burden of proof is on the employer. Ang sabi ng chairman ngayon ng bar exam, ito si Justice Hernando, in that case of Aital Carat versus Erasmio, in illegal dismissal, the burden of proof is on the employer. In proving the validity of the dismissal, paano papatunayan na valid yung dismissal? You must show that there was cause and you observe due process. Okay? Now, the fact of the dismissal, if disputed, must be duly proven by the complainant. Okay? So, hindi naman porke na nag-allege ka ng illegally dismissed ka, hindi ka na magpe-present ng proof. Ang sabi ng Korte Suprema, the rule is well established that in termination cases, the burden of proving just and valid cause is for the employer. The burden to prove a just cause must be met by the employer. So, consistent. However, according to the Supreme Court also in 2015, in that same case, while technical rules are not strictly followed at the NLRC, as Article 227, technical rules are not binding. This does not mean that the rules on proving allegations are entirely dispensed with. Ika nga, the one who alleges must be the one to prove his allegations. Ikaw ang nagsabi dinismiss ka, di ikaw ang magpatunay. Hindi ba? O, ano bang ebidensya yan? The quantum of proof is just substantial evidence. At the very least. So yan, yan ay just cause. Article 297. There's another cause. We call it authorized cause. Unfortunately, the Labor Code did not put a number or a letter in Article 298. But we can extract 4 grounds for terminating the employment which is authorized by law. Diba? Installation of labor-saving device or automation sa ibang desisyon. Okay? Redundancy. Retrenchment to prevent losses. Hindi kailangan dito na may actual losses. Diba? Because the losses, retrenchment to prevent losses. What losses would you be preventing if there are already losses? And of course, closure. Yan naman ang kailangan para makamove on ka, kailangan may closure. So what do we mean by redundancy? According to the Supreme Court, the redundancy exists when the services of an employee are in excess of what is reasonably demanded by the actual requirements of the enterprise. Management prerogative yan to determine ano yung kailangan niya. Ilang tao ang kailangan niyang i-hire, ilang tao ang babayaran niya. Negosyo niya yan eh. Now, in order to dismiss an employee based on redundancy, dapat may written notice. Diba? Yan ang sabi ng Korte Suprema. Due process yan. Then, you pay separation pay. Contrary to Article 297, dismissal in Article 298 necessitates the payment of separation pay to the employee. Why? The employee here is not at fault. Sabi ni employer, it's not you, it's me. Okay? There must be good faith in abolishing the redundant position and fair and reasonable criteria in determining what position are redundant and therefore to be abolished. Kasi baka pagka inuna mong tanggalin yung mga members ng union o yung officers ng union, ay baka makasuhan ka ng unfair labor practice. So dapat may clear criteria ka aling posisyon ang dideklarang redundant. Okay? There must also be observance of due process. Twin notices pa rin. Kaya lang magkaiba ang direksyon ng notice natin. Sa 297, both notices go to the employee. In Article 298, one notice goes to the employee. para malaman niya, di ba? At least 1 month ahead. Para makapaghanap siya. Di katulad ng mga jowa nyo, iniwanan kayo na hindi mo lang nag-notify. Ano? Ni-notify mo para makapaghanap ng kapalit. And then to the Department of Labor. For what purpose? To ascertain whether or not there was really legal basis for that dismissal. Di ba? Kasi iba, nagdadahilan lang eh. Now, may separation pay ito. Di ba? Pag labor saving device or redundancy, 1 month pay or 1 month pay for every year of service, whichever is higher. A fraction of at least 6 months is considered 1 whole year. You have an example on your screen. Naka 9 months siya, considered 1 year yan. 1 month salary. Naka 4 years siya. Natural, 1 month for every year. Kasi that is higher than 1 month salary. O di 4 month salary. That's how you interpret that. Now, if the dismissal is due to retrenchment, to prevent losses or closure, lang kinalaman yung mga pictures, ha? 1 month pay or 1/2 month pay for every year of service. Same rule, a fraction of at least 6 months is considered 1 whole year. So let's say, using the same example, 9 months, 1 month salary. Considered 1 year lang, di ba? Well, eksaktong 1 year, o di 1 month salary. Eh naka 4 years siya. So i-apply natin yung 1/2 month for every year. So 4 na 1/2, ay di 2. Di ba? Why? 50% lang kasi nalulugi nga yung employer, maawa ka naman. Di ba? Now, what is the purpose of payment of separation pay? Eh para naman may magastos siya habang naghahanap ng panibagong trabaho. Hirap mawala ng pera ngayon, ano? Lahat ng tao ngayon problemado sa pera, ako lang yata hindi. Joke lang. Di ba? Eh puno kami niyan. Eh ba't pa kasi na-invento yung pera? Kung di na-invento yun, di wala tayong problema, ano? Oh, ano ba tawag doon? I-disinvent? I-reinvent? Hindi. Huwag na lang magpera, ha? Okay. Pag nalulugi na talaga si employer, the employer may be justified in pay and not paying any separation pay. Dahil sabi ng Korte Suprema to require the company to continue being generous when it is no longer in a position to do so would be certainly be unduly oppressive and unfair and revolting to the conscience. Eh wala nang pera, pipwersahin mo, di ba? But the employer must be the one to prove na talagang wala na siyang pera. Otherwise, allegation lang yan. Di ba? Walang kinalaman yung picture, nakiwalay na pala yan. Now, sometimes meron kang dahilan. Di ba? Pero you did not observe due process. Whether just or authorized cause, but the employer failed to observe due process. So anong tawag yan? Hindi yan illegal, hindi legal. The court said it is ineffectual. So walang reinstatement, walang back wages, pero dahil na-violate mo ang right to due process of that employee, you have to pay nominal damages. Okay? Now, there are instances, hindi ka naman tinatanggal. Pero yung ginagawa ni employer, parang itinataboy ka na, di ba? Para ikaw na mismo ang umayaw. Ang tawag dyan, constructive dismissal. According to the Supreme Court, aptly called a dismissal in disguise. Hindi ka tinatanggal. Pero sa ginagawa sa iyo, parang ikaw na mismo ang gustong umayaw kasi unbearable na yung situation. Di ba? Unbearable situation. You can no longer tolerate it. Iniinsulto ka palagi. At in the case of Palco versus LBC, lagi siyang hinaharas ng kanyang supervisor. Sexual harassment. So nag-file siya ng kaso, nag-resign muna siya. And then after that, nag-file siya ng kasong sexual harassment against the supervisor and against the company, illegal dismissal. Sabi ng company, teka, nag-resign ka eh. But according to the court, it is considered constructive dismissal because she was sexually harassed by a superior and the employer failed to act on her complaint. At in-apply dito ng Korte Suprema yung medyo bago nating batas, Republic Act 11313. Dahil there was gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace, under that law, the employer has to act within 10 days. Eh ilang buwan yung nakaraan, hindi man lang inaksyonan yung complaint nitong si Ms. Palco. Okay? Now, sometimes nagkakasakit. May sakit. Pwede bang tanggalin ng empleyado na may sakit? Ang sabi po ng Article 299, pwede. But there are requirements. Una, yung sakit. Ito yung bagong kaso 2020. But it was taken from an old case 2014. Pareho lang naman yan. May sakit siya. Yung sakit niya ay bawal sa batas. Meron mang ganun sakit. Kaya yung UTI, umibig tapos iniwan. Bawal siguro yan. Ano? Kaya prejudicial to the health of the employee or yung mga co-employees niya. Ito ang crucial. Ha? Meron dapat siyang certification from a competent health authority, public health authority, that the disease cannot be cured despite medication within 6 months. Okay? So mag-isip kayo ng sakit na gano'n. Pero, hindi kasalanan ni employer na may sakit ka eh. Sabi ni employee, hindi ko rin naman kasalanan na magkasakit ako eh. Bawal nga magkasakit eh. Kaya, babayaran mo siya ng separation pay. Magkano? At least 1 month salary or 1/2 month salary for every year of service, whichever is higher. So kapareho ng separation pay doon sa retrenchment to prevent losses o kaya closure. Okay? So let us summarize. Diba? Meron kang the employer has a cause, just or authorized. The employer observed due process, the dismissal is legal. Pag legal yung dismissal, nothing. Walang bayaran, walang reinstatement. The problem was, there was no cause. The employer did not even observe due process. It's illegal dismissal. So illegal dismissal, reinstatement to the former position, payment of back wages without loss of seniority rights yan, plus damages, and do not forget attorney's fees. Ano? And then, wala siyang cause, but the employer observed due process. Well, the observance of due process will not cure the illegality of the dismissal or the lack of cause. In the last situation, the employer has a cause, just or authorized. Just like in the case of Agabon versus NLRC, Jaca versus Pacot. The employer, however, did not observe due process. It is ineffectual. So hindi siya illegal kasi may cause naman. Di ba? Hindi rin naman legal kasi walang due process. Ineffectual daw ang tawag dyan. So anong epekto niyan? Magbabayad ang employer ng nominal damages. So syempre if you dismiss an employee, magpapile ng kaso yan. Diba? At sino may jurisdiction? Take note, Article 224. It's the labor arbiter. Diba? Kaya lang, si labor arbiter is bound by Article 234 of your labor code. Ano yung Article 234? Mandatory conciliation. And the Department of Labor is implementing that via the so-called SENA, Single Entry Approach. Within 30 days, magkaroon kayo ng conciliation. If you could settle it, well and good. The case is dismissed based on the settlement by the parties. However, if they could not settle within that mandatory period or one or both parties would ask for an early termination, the hearing officer would refer it to the agency having jurisdiction. In this case, illegal dismissal, si labor arbiter. Okay? At within 30 days, under Article 224, the labor arbiter should resolve it 30 days from the time the case is submitted for resolution. And then, pag hindi mo gusto ang ruling ni arbiter, you appeal to the NLRC within 10 calendar days. Non-extendable period yan. Okay? Pag si employer, mag-post ka ng ban. Equivalent to the amount of monetary award. Now, natalo, file a motion for reconsideration. Why? You have to exhaust all administrative remedies kasi sabi ng St. Martin Funeral Homes versus NLRC, mag-file ka ng certiorari under Rule 65 to the Court of Appeals and you have 60 calendar days to do that. Okay? Now, the filing of a petition for certiorari under Rule 65 will not stop the running of the period. Therefore, pag may monetary award, kahit may certiorari ka, yung nanalo, magpapa-execute yan. We call that execution pending appeal. Okay? So ang gagawin mo, hihingi ka ng TRO. Convince the appellate court that you are entitled to that injunctive relief so that the winning party cannot execute while your certiorari is being resolved. Otherwise, magpa-execute sila, wala na yan. Pag natalo, you go to the Supreme Court, use Rule 45, but on pure questions of law. Because the Supreme Court is not a trier of facts. Seldom would you see the Supreme Court reviewing the factual basis. And one of them is the Tiangkin versus Lazada. Ni-review dyan ng Korte Suprema pati yung factual basis. Bakit nasabi na regular employees itong mga delivery riders ng Lazada? Okay? Now, siyempre minsan, sabi ni employee talagang ayoko na boss. Gusto ko nang bumitaw. Magandang team sa kasal yan, di ba? Gusto ko nang bumitaw. Anong gagawin mo? Kahit na mahaba yung kontrata mo, magbigay ka lang ng written notice 1 month ahead. Kasi pag hindi ka nagbigay ng notice, you can be held liable for damages. Yung damages na yan, kaya arbitrary file yan, under Article 224. Now, pwede ka namang umalis na lang nang walang paalam. Under Article 300, Paragraph B, there are instances there na pinapayagan si employee na umalis nang walang paalam. Ano yun? Aba, ininsulto ka, serious insult by the employer. Okay? Sabi ng Korte Suprema, strong words may sometimes be exchanged as the employer describes her expectation. Iba kasi expectation sa totoo, di ba? Wala kinalaman yung picture. Hindi akin yan. Korean story yata yan. As in every human relationship, there are bound to be disagreements. Kahit nga magjowa, nag-aaway. Kahit mag-asawa, nag-aaway, di ba? At marami pa yan. So pag present itong mga ito, pwede kang umalis na hindi ka lang magpaalam. Resignation yon. Pero ang laging tinatanong ng mga empleyado, hindi sa bar. Tinatanong palagi, pag nag-resign po ba ako after 5 years, 10 years of service, am I entitled to separation pay? Ang sagot hindi, bumitaw ka eh. Di ba? Huwag kang bibitaw. Bumitaw ka. So general rule, pag ikaw voluntarily nag-resign, walang separation pay unless, ng Korte Suprema, si Justice Hernando sumulat yan, merong company practice na binabayaran yung mga nag-resign. O kaya ito ay CBA policy. O kaya nakalagay sa kontrata mo. Otherwise, wala kang separation pay. Aba, yung ruling na yan, 1998 pa yan eh. Di ba? 1998, 79 yata nagsimula yung 5 na yan. Di ba? Alam na, 3, 5 pala yan. Di ba? So otherwise, we apply the general rule. Now, in illegal dismissal cases, na ang sabi ni employer nag-resign ang employee, it is the employer who should prove that the resignation was voluntary at hindi constructive dismissal. Okay? Maliwanag. Now, once the employee resigns, di niya pwedeng bawiin. Di pwede laban o bawi. Ano? May mga nagre-resign kasi na nagpapapigil, hindi pinigilan. Yun ang masaklap. Kaya huwag kang magpapapigil kung alam mo hindi ka naman pipigilan. Nag-resign, tinanggap. Nagbago ang isip, pwede na pang bawiin. Sabi ng Korte Suprema as early as 1997, no. Diba? Ikaw ang nagsimula niyan eh. If the employer accepts the withdrawal, fine, you retain your job. But if the employer does not accept the withdrawal of your resignation, then wala na. It's not illegal dismissal, ikaw ang nag-resign. Okay? Noong panahon ng COVID, maraming mga employer ang tumigil muna sa operation. Basta hindi lalagpas ng 6 months, wala tayong problema dyan. Okay? Yung mga employees naman, baka military reservist ito, kailangan natin sila para i-depensa ang West Philippine Sea. May mahaba tayong discussion dun sa West Philippine Sea dyan sa YouTube channel. You can watch them. Okay? Hindi pa naman siya tanggal, basta babalik siya within 6 months. Ang problema, ang Department of Labor nag-issue noong 2020 ng Department Order extending for another 6 months yung tinatawag lang floating status. Is that valid? No, because in effect, the Labor Code is being amended. Only Congress can amend the Labor Code. Kaya lang ito ang inilusot dito, kaya walang masyadong kaso dyan. Bakit? Nakumbinsin naman yung mga employees eh. Pero kung i-insist na mga empleyado na hanggang 6 months lang ang floating status, may problema ang mga employers dyan. Kaya lang, siguro naunawaan nila dahil ayaw pagtrabahuhin ng gobyerno, hindi ba? In the case of Padilla versus Airborne Security, sabi ng Korte Suprema, yung floating status ng mga gwardiya, yung mga gwardiya kasi normally ang ganyan, di ba? Pag nagsarado yung kalang establishment na binabantayan, inililipat sila sa ibang establishment. So in the meantime, walang paglilipatan, anong gagawin natin? Floating ka muna. So hanggang 6 months ka lang. But beyond 6 months, kasi no work, no pay yan. Beyond 6 months, floating ka pa rin. Aba, hindi ka nalulubog. Di ba? So illegally dismissed na yan, constructive dismissal. So anong gagawin dito ng security agency, for example? Aba, i-dismiss mo na, pero babayaran mo ng separation pay kasi wala naman siyang kasalanan. So mamili ka na lang. It's either retrenchment to prevent losses or redundancy. Pag redundancy, mas malaki ang babayaran mo kasi 1 month for every year of service. Diba? Ayan. So, walang forever. Kahit na yung mga nagtatrabaho ng matino, darating ang panahon na kailangan mo na mag-retire. Diba? Ano ba yung retirement? ang purpose ng retirement pay na ito ay para naman magkaroon ka daw ng gagastusin when the employee has no longer the stamina to continue earning for his or her livelihood. Sino nagbabayad ng retirement pay? Natural si employer. Walang pension ang private sector employees galing sa employer. Hindi katulad sa gobyerno may pension ang mga government employees coming from the employer. Gobyerno ang employer, mayaman eh. Pero yung private sector ay walang pension yan. One-time payment yan. So, pwede kayong magkaroon ng retirement plan. But it should not be lower than what is provided by the Labor Code as amended by Republic Act 7641. Okay? So ang edad, 60. But remember, 60 is early retirement. 65 is the mandatory retirement. Naka5 taon siya doon sa kanyang employer. At least 5 years. Ano? At babayaran siya ng 1/2 month salary for every year of service. So yung 1/2 month salary ba, 15 days lang? Hindi. 15 days salary plus 1/12 of the 13th month pay plus 5 days service incentive leave. Teka muna, every year binabayaran yung service incentive leave pag hindi nagamit. O, ikasama pa rin yan, sabi ng Korte Suprema. Now, sabi ng Capital Wireless versus Confessor, that is 22.5 days. That's the list. Walang employer na pwedeng magbigay ng retirement pay na ang computation ay less than 22.5 days. Eh saan ang galing yung 2.5? 1/12. So pag-compute kasi ng 13th month pay, 12 divided by 12. 12 month salary divided by 12. Eh 1/12. So 1 month yun. Under Article 13 ng Civil Code, di ba? If the month is not designated by its name, it is presumed to be containing how many days? Oh, 30 days. So 30 divided by 12 would give you 2.5. Kaya 22.5 yan. 1996 pa yan, but in 2019, ganun din ang ruling ng Korte Suprema. And the 15 days salary, together with the 5 days and others, must be based on the latest salary before retirement. So in case of doubt, the doubt must be liberally construed in favor of the retiree. Okay? Now, for underground and surface miners, the retirement age is 50 to 60. 60 is mandatory or compulsory retirement. 5 years din ang trabaho at 22.5 din. Bakit sila mas maaga? Well, obviously, yung trabaho nila, di ba? Delikado. O kaya kailangan naman nilang mas maaga silang magretiro. 60 yung mandatory. Now, retirement must be voluntary. Ang empleyado, pinipwersa mag-retire at 60 up to 64, constructive dismissal yan. That is considered compulsory retirement. Ang compulsory retirement class, ladies and gentlemen, is 65 years old. Earlier than 65 is early retirement. So it needs the consent of the retiree. If the employee does not want to retire at an age earlier than 65, the employer cannot compel him or her, otherwise that can be considered constructive dismissal. Okay? So marami tayong jurisprudence yan, nakikita nyo sa inyong screen. Now, there are contributory retirement plans. Normally ito ay sa mga sectarian schools, no? Ayan, katulad nitong Santa Catalina College na itong kaso, yung PERA, Private Education Retirement Annuity Association, nagko-contribute yung teacher. Eh pagka nag-retire siya, yung contribution niya, dapat bawasin yon bago computein yung 22.5 days. Kasi 50-50 sila halimbawa, eh hindi naman obligado ang empleyado na bayaran yung kanyang sariling retirement pay. It's the obligation of the employer. Pwede siya mag-contribute, pero kanya yon. Hindi yun idadagdag doon sa computation. Okay? And the retirement plan must be fair. In the case of Halagenia versus Philippine Airlines, na naman, yan, pinagre-retire yung mga flight attendants na babae at the age of 55. Yung mga lalaki, 60. Ay sabi ng Korte Suprema, that is discriminatory. Di ba? Anong kaibahan ng lalaking flight attendant sa babae? Eh ang sabi dyan, they do not have daw the agility to attend to passengers in cramped working conditions and the stamina to withstand grueling flight schedules. Eh, but that is presumptive, di ba? Oh. Just a presumption. Although talaga namang nangihina kapag may edad na, pero hindi pwedeng i-discriminate against gender. Okay? Oh. Meron nauna pang kaso niyan yung Ganyan din ang pangalan noong 2009, but that was the issuance of PRO, which was considered valid by the Supreme Court. Now, are part-time employees entitled to retirement pay? The answer is yes. You have that case of De La Salle Araneta versus Bernardo, that Republic Act 7641 amending the labor code does not distinguish. Whether you are full-time or part-time, you are entitled to retirement pay. Same computation. Natural, pagka part-time ka, mas maliit ang matatanggap mo kasi nga part-time ka lang. Di ba? Okay. Mas maliit ang sweldo. Yan ang pinagbabatayan ng retirement pay. Oh. At syempre, nagretiro na. Meron pa ba tayong i-discuss? Marami pa. Prescription. So natutuwa tayo sa website ng NLRC kasi may mga ganyan na sila mga graphics. Ano? So I have took the liberty of adapting it from the website of the NLRC. Wala nyo, magkita-kita tayo dyan. Yung prescriptive period ay for unfair labor practice 1 year. For money claims, 3 years. Okay? For illegal dismissal, 4 years. Tama yan. Ang sabi ng Korte Suprema, lahat ng money claims under Article 291, which is now 306 because of the renumbering of the labor code, ay 3 years. Kasama dyan yung seafarers contracts. Okay? That was 2014 and then 2015, ganun din ang ruling ng Korte Suprema. Now, that provision, according to the court, does not cover money claims as a consequence of an illegal dismissal. Di ba yung back wages, money claims din yan? At saka yung damages? Oh. Kaya lang, kasama siya sa illegal dismissal. So these money claims do not prescribe in 3 years because illegal dismissal prescribes in 4 years according to the Supreme Court, in that case in 1986, Calianta versus Carnation. Why? Because the applicable prescriptive period daw is Article 1146 of the Civil Code. Why? Illegal dismissal is an injury to your right, to the right of the employee. Okay? Ano sabi ng Walim Maritime? Gallego versus Walim Maritime. Now, what right is injured? Property right. Victory Liner versus Rasay. Okay? Why property right? Because your income from your job shall form part of your property. And you were deprived of your income illegally. Kasi illegal dismissal. So we apply the Civil Code provision that the following actions must be instituted within 4 years. 1. Upon an injury to the rights of the plaintiff. Kaya dyan, papasok ang illegal dismissal. And 2, upon quasi delict. Paliwanag. However, the prescription period for service incentive leave pay under Article 95 of the Labor Code is 3 years. But the commencement of the prescriptive period is not at the time it was not given, but at the time the employee demanded for the compensation or at the time siya ay nag-resign or termination of employment. Halimbawa, hindi binayaran yung service incentive leave niya, di ba? 5 araw yan eh. Pag hindi nagamit, converted into cash equivalent. Iyon ay nangyari noong 2018. 2023, naalala ni employee, boss, di pala binayaran yung service incentive leave ko noong 2018. Bayaran mo na ako ngayon kasi mag-abroad na ako. Sabi ni bossing, hindi na, kasi 2018 yan, 5 years ago na, di ba? Is the employer correct? No. The prescription period starts only at this time. Kasi ngayon lang siya nag-demand. Paliwanag. Now, all employees are entitled to have an organization to protect their rights. Under Article 3, Section 8 of the Constitution, the right of the people, including those employed in public and private sectors, to form unions, associations, or societies for purposes not contrary to law, shall not be abridged. Well, government sector employees are also entitled to unionize. Sabi ng samahan ng mga manggagawa sa Hanjin versus Bureau of Labor Relations, even government employees have the right to self-organization. However, the organization of government employees is not for collective bargaining, but only for the furtherance and protection of their interest. You do not bargain with the law kasi. Kaya nga sa gobyerno, walang CBA, CNA, Collective Negotiation Agreement. Okay? Now, if anyone, employers included, interferes with the right of the employee to unionize, we call it unfair labor practice. Not every act of unfairness of the employer or the union can be considered unfair labor practice. Unfair labor practice is an act of the employer or the union or anyone that interferes with the right of the employee to join a union. Pag nawala yung elemento ng unionism, that is not unfair labor practice, no matter how unfair. Ang saya kasi ng definition ng labor code sa unfair labor practice, di ba? You look at your codal. Article 219K. Kung luma pa yung codal nyo, 212. Kasi noong 2015, nirenumber ang labor code. Kaya huwag kayong kukuha ng codal. Ang alam ko, ang Rex Bookstore, updated na ang codal ng labor code. 2016 and later. Para tama yung renumbering. Okay? Sino may kagagawa niyan? Yung Republic Act 10151. Okay? Pinarenumber ang labor code. Ang sabi sa Article 219K, unfair labor practice means any unfair labor practice as expressly defined by this code. Very meaningful, ano? May naintindihan tayo. Wala, di ba? So, sabi ng Korte Suprema, unfair labor practices are violative of the constitutional right of workers to self-organize. So, tatandaan nyo palagi, pag unfair labor practice, may koneksyon sa union. Now, when the employer dismisses a union officer, unfair labor practice yan. Kasi pwedeng tawaging union busting. But, according to the Supreme Court, a dismissal of a union officer is not necessarily discriminatory, especially when that officer committed an act of misconduct. Why? Union officers are held to a higher standards. Di ba? Ano yung mga uri ng unfair labor practices ng mga employer? Ayan, may yellow dog contract. May problema talaga sa dilawan. Ito, pinapapirma ng kontrata ang employee na, hoy, bibigyan kita ng trabaho pero huwag kang sasali sa union, ha? Pag sumali ka sa union, tatanggalin kita. That's a void undertaking. Bakit naman yellow? Kasi daw, neither hot nor cold yung yellow, hindi ba? Maraming connotations yan, bakit dog? Kasi lagi siya nauuntog. Hindi. No matter how ferocious the dog is, bigyan mo ng pagkain, bumabait daw. Kaya nga yung mga canine, di ba? Ayaw naman nilang papakainin sa iba. Bibigyan ng ibang pagkain. Yung mga handler lang nila. Bakit? Baka hindi na gawin yung function, ano? Kaya, pag-aso talaga K9. Pag K10, pusa yan, ano? Now, you have runaway shop. Ano yung runaway shop? Ito si employer, inililipat yung kanyang negosyo. Maraming connotation yan. But one connotation is that, may branch siya dito, for example, sa Metro Manila, meron din siya doon sa Laguna, mag-i-strike dito sa Metro Manila, di bahala kayo mag-strike dahil ililipat niya yung operation niya doon sa Laguna. So mag-stop man kayo ng work dito, may work stoppage kasi may strike di doon sa Laguna mag-operate, okay pa rin. Di ba? And then, you have blue sky bargaining. Exaggerated yan. You look at the sky. Not today. Not today. Kasi maitim ang sky ngayon dahil may bagyo. Di ba? Pagka blue ang sky, it is too high. Yan ang ibig sabihin yan. Okay? Sabi ni Union, bigyan mo kami ng salary increase na 1,000 per day. OMG. That's too high. Sabi ng employer, 1,000, I'll give you 10 pesos. Take it or leave it. Abay, bulwarism din yan. Taken from Lemuel Bolwire. Na Vice President ng General Electric sa Amerika, na every time makikipag-negotiate ang union, ang sasabihin niya, this is the first and last and best offer I could give you. Take it or leave it. Okay? So unfair labor practice yan. What's the use of bargaining? Kung meron ka na palang posisyon na take it or leave it. Okay? Now, what about surface bargaining? Well, you go through the motion without really an intention to arrive at an agreement. Yan ang surface bargaining. Parang yung mga tao na ang dating sa'yo ay parang Ferris wheel. Bakit? Akala mo pinapaligaya ka, yung pala pinapaikot-ikot ka lang, wala kayong patutunguhan. Diba? You're like sitting in a rocking chair. You keep on moving but you are going nowhere. O ganyan minsan ang mga relasyon. Okay? Bargain lang kayo ng bargain, hindi naman kayo magkaroon ng CBA. Minsan, ang union naman ang nagtitake advantage. Bakit feather bedding? Pinagsimulan niya sa Amerika. Wala pa yung mga cotton, ano. Yung mga kahoy, nilalagyan ng feathers to make it more comfortable pag inupuan o hinigaan. Kaya feather bedding. So ano yan? Si union, dalawang bagay, sabi niya kay employer, boss, mag-hire ka ng maraming employees. So pag maraming employees, konti ang trabaho nila pero same salary. Diba? Or si union, sasabihin, kami ang gagawa nito, pinturahan namin yung building mo, pero hindi naman pala pininturahan. Now, ang usapan, pipinturahan ng blue. Pinintura po siya. Anak ng po siya. At hindi na feather bedding yun. For as long as work is done, it's no longer feather bedding. Now, ano naman yung sweetheart's contract? Ito yung mga nagpapahirap sa labor eh. Itong mga terminolohiya na ito eh. Ay sweetheart's contract or sweetheart's deal, si employer kakausapin yung mga union officers. Sila ang babayaran. O bawal yun ha? Kasi hindi ka dapat nangungulekta ng negotiation fee from the employer. Dahil nabayaran na sila, yung kontrata na ibibigay o yung benefits under the contract, and the contract is called collective bargaining agreement, ay mas mababa kaysa doon sa inaasahan. So ibinenta yung kanilang mga empleyado na miyembro nila. Okay? Now, in a factory, for example, there are two bargaining units. Normal yan. One, yung rank and file. All rank and file, pwedeng iisang bargaining unit. And second, yung supervisors. Managers are not allowed to unionize, sabi ng Article 255. Diba? But supervisors under Article 255 may unionize, but they cannot join the union of the rank and file. They have to create their own union. So yan ang bargaining unit. Group of employees. Okay? Consistent ang Korte Suprema dyan mula 1992 hanggang dito sa 2013. Diba? A bargaining unit is a group of employees. In a school setting, for example, kami mga teacher, isang bargaining unit kami. Yung mga non-teaching personnel, another bargaining unit yan. So, inire-represent dapat yan ng union kung gusto. Okay? Minsan, dumami ang union. Diba? Kasi mahal ang union. Iba palang union yun. Lahat kasi ngayon nagmamahal. Diba? Yan ang namimiss ko kay Presidente Duterte. At least may nagmumura. Ngayon, puro nagmamahal. Kung wala nagmamahal sa inyo, punta kayo sa gasolinahan. Sa Martes, may magmamahal ulit dyan. O kaya doon sa bigasan, nagmamahal yan. Okay. So, dumami ang union. Kasi constitutional right yan eh. Now, at least two ang union. Sino nang kakausapin ng employer? Yan, papasok ang consent election. Kasunduan, Union A, Union B, o sinong kakausapin sa atin ni boss? Mag-usap na lang tayo. O pwede namang election. Hindi na kayo mag-file. Okay? Nagkataon na iisa lang yung union. Ang tawag dyan ng bagong rule, amending Department Order 40-03, ay SEBA, SE. Yung SEBA kasi na C, SEBA. Yun ay Certified Exclusive Bargaining Agent. Ito, sole and exclusive bargaining agent. Naku, magulo ang paggamit yan ng labor code at ng jurisprudence minsan eh. Pag sole, mag-isa ka lang. Walang ibang union. So ang gagawin mo, pupunta ka doon sa regional director kung saan ka nakarehistro, manghihingi ka ng certification. And that certification will state the fact and attest to the fact that you are the only one union operating there. On the basis of that certification, may kipag-bargain ka na kay employer and the employer cannot deny the fact that you need to bargain. Otherwise, unfair labor practice yan. Okay? You can find that in Article 269. This SEBA abolished or repealed, superseded the voluntary recognition before. Okay? At ang pinaka-common, yung certification election. Bakit? Hindi nagkakasundo yung mga union eh. Tama naman si Luna eh. Mas madali pong pagkasunduin ng langit at lupa kaysa ang dalawang Pilipino magkasundo sa isang bagay. Di ba? Ang dami pa rin kakampihan China ngayon sa Pilipinas eh. Kahit na binabastos tayo ng China, di ba? Okay. So what is certification election? Huwag niyo lalagyan ng of. Certification election. Inis na inis ako sa mga estudyante ko pag sinasabi certification of election. No. Certification election kasi yung mananalo ay certified exclusive bargaining agent. SEBA with a C. Okay? So anong purpose nito? Para malaman sino makikipag-usap kay bossing during bargaining. Secret balloting din ito. Ang certification election, magpa-file kayo ng petition. Sa regional office, ayaw pa kasing tawaging regional office or BLR Department of Labor pa, general masyado, hindi ba? O sa BLR kayo niyan or sa regional office. Pag independent union, sa regional office. Ayun. Yung regional office mag-a-assign ng med-arbiter that will act as your election officer. So, i-schedule yan. Kailan gagawin ng certification election? Magpa-file lamang kayo during the freedom period kung may CBA. Ngayon kung walang CBA, anytime. At kung ang CBA nakarehistro. In order to win in a certification election, ang sabi ng jurisprudence, double majority. Okay? Double majority rule. Saan manggagaling ang unang majority? Manggagaling dun sa majority ng mga empleyado na boboto. Hindi lamang yung mga miyembro ng union. Kasi you have to remember, sa isang bargaining unit, for example, 100 employees, hindi naman lahat ng 100 miyembro ng union. Hindi mo rin pwedeng pilitin niya na sumali lahat sa iyo. Because the right to join includes the right not to join. Di ba? So, 100 employees, for example, lahat yun dapat bumoto. Hindi naman natin pwedeng puwersahin bumoto lahat yan. In fact, kahit sa politika, hindi mo pwedeng puwersahin bumoto yung ayaw Di ba? Pag hindi bumoto yung majority lang. Like for example, you have 100 employees. You only need 50% plus 1. So that's 51. Noong 2009, 400 employees. So ang kailangan mo doon ay 201. Okay? Pag hindi bumoto yung majority, there will be a failure of election to be declared by the election officer na galing sa regional office. So anong mangyayari kapag nagkaroon ng declaration of failure of election? At any time, you can file a petition for another certification election within 6 months from the date of declaration. Okay? So, assuming bumoto ang majority, ang mananalo na union ay yung nakakuha ng majority vote. Okay? Para second majority kasi double majority. Assuming there are 100 employees, 50% have voted. Di 50% plus 1. Hindi po pwedeng 50% lang. So ito yung distribution. Dalawa lang ang union, pero dapat tatlo ang choices. Why? Including no union. Okay? So may nanalo ba dito? There's no winner. Kasi ang majority ng 51 ay 26. So no one got 26. So there's no winner. Anong gagawin natin dyan? Mag-o-order ang med-arbiter ng run-off election. Okay? So tinanong noong 2006 bar exam, can a no union win in a certification election? Yes. Doon sa example natin kanina, kung naka-26 ang no union, masaya si employer. Bakit masaya? Ay di walang makikipag-bargain sa kanya. Di ba? But since plurality yung boto ng no union, maraming bumoto sa kanya pero hindi niya nakuha yung majority, the election officer would order a run-off election. What is a run-off election? 2006 bar. Run-off election happens during a certification or consent election where there are 3 or more choices. Okay? 3 or more. Kasi pag dalawa na ang union, 3 na ang choices mo dyan. Ano yon? Yung dalawang union at saka yung no union. Okay? So, pag hindi nakakuha ng majority, after a valid certification or consent election, at ang bumoto dun sa mga union as a choice ay at least 50% of the total number of the votes cast, the 2 unions who garnered the highest number of votes would have to have another election. And we call that run-off election. Okay? Only the 2 unions who got the highest number of votes. In your screen, magre-reklamo dyan yung no union. Kasi 20 siya Di ba? Samantalang si Union B, 9. Hindi na po pwede ang no union sa run-off election. Because if the majority wanted to have no union, okay, they do not want to have a union, nanalo na sana yung no union. Hindi siya nanalo. So majority would like to have a union in a run-off election. What is to be decided is which union do you want. Okay? So kailangan mo ng union. Kasi nagdesisyon ng majority, gusto nilang union. They cannot just make up their minds which union they wanted to represent them. Now, tanong, can those who did not vote in the first election, certification or consent election, can they now vote in a run-off election? Of course. Kasi ang gusto natin, makakuha ng majority yung mananalong union. So na-determine na natin, si Union A for example ang nanalo. Ano na ang gagawin niya? Abay makipag-bargain ka na. You send the notice to bargain. I-attach mo yung proof na nanalo ka. And the purpose is to have a collective bargaining agreement. That is a contract between the union and the employer for terms and conditions of employment. Remember, the law only provides for the minimum in the private sector employment. It empowers the union and the employer to enter into collective bargaining for better terms and conditions of employment. That's the reason why almost 80% of employers do not want to have a union. Why? Pag walang union, di man minimum lang ibibigay mo. Pag may union, magbabargain yan, mas mataas. Okay? That's the reason why. Now, a CBA must be published, not in a newspaper of general circulation, but rather posted in 2 conspicuous places in the employer's premises. Wala pa kasing Facebook noong 2003 nung ginawa ang implementing rules na yan. Kaya bawal i-post ito sa Facebook. Ano? So ipako nyo, i-post ninyo sa 2 conspicuous places 5 days before the scheduled ratification. If it is the employer who should post it, siya may-ari ng factory. Now, 5 days after posting, ratification. Sino ang boboto? Yung 100 natin kanina, hindi naman lahat yun, miyembro ng union. They have to vote. Why? Aba may maapektuhan ang buhay nila . Pag majority voted, irehistro nyo. Pag majority hindi bumoto, o kaya majority said, no, what do you do with the CBA? You go back to the negotiating table. Okay? So anong epekto pag inirehistro ninyo ang CBA? It will now invoke the operation of the contract bar rule. If the CBA is not registered, it is valid and binding between the union, but it cannot bind a third party. Okay? Hindi may invoke yung contract bar rule. Ano ba yung contract bar rule? If the CBA is registered after ratification by the majority of the members of the bargaining unit, it cannot be disturbed. It cannot be modified. There can be no petition for certification election except during the freedom period. And when is the freedom period? That is the 30-day period, 60-day period before the end of the 5-year period. So napakaraming period. Di ba? Yan yung contract bar rule. The CBA as a contract will bar any petition for certification election except during the freedom period. Now, the CBA has 2 lifetimes under Article 265. 5 years sa representation, political aspect. 3 years doon sa economic aspect. Okay? Now, when the CBA expires, at wala pang bagong CBA, kasi hindi naman kayo agad-agad makakuha ng CBA. Diba? Na bago. The old CBA is renewed. It is extended until you have a new CBA. We call that automatic renewal clause. It means all provisions are renewed. Okay? Until you got another CBA. Or, after the certification election, may bago kang bargaining agent, may kipag-bargain yan, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung CBA para hindi nagkakaroon ng gap sa benepisyo. Now, what about the automatic retroaction clause? That is also in the last portion of Article 265. That if you have an agreement, nag-agree kayo on a new CBA, okay? At yung bago nyong agreement was concluded within 6 months after the expiration, ang effectivity ng bagong agreement will retroact to the day after the expiration. That's why it's called automatic retroaction clause. Okay? Now, after 6 months, hindi mo na ma-invoke yung automatic retroaction. So, anong gagawin? Di mag-agree kayo. Natural, hindi mag-agree yan. So, what do? You go to voluntary arbitration. And when is the effectivity of an arbitral award? The effectivity is on the date set by the voluntary arbitrator. Okay? Sabi ni voluntary arbitrator, mag-retroact, di magre-retroact yan. Sabi ni voluntary arbitrator, hindi pwede mag-retroact. Di hindi. How do you question that? You go to the Court of Appeals. Why? Grievance kasi yan . Remember, ang pinanggagalingan ng grievance o grievances? CBA at Company Personnel Policy. Okay? Any grievance that is not settled within 7 calendar days, dadali natin sa voluntary arbitration. Okay? Sino si voluntary arbitrator? Either accredited by the board, that's the National Conciliation Mediation Board. or hindi man siya accredited, named by the parties in their CBA. Now, we also have compulsory arbitration. Compulsory arbitrators are identified and their jurisdiction is fixed by law. Tulad ni Labor Arbiter, NLRC, the Regional Director, the BLR, Secretary of Labor, these are compulsory arbitrators. So all violations of the CBA, grievance machinery, voluntary arbitration, except those gross violation. Ano ba ang gross violation ng CBA? Sabi ng Article 274, it is the malicious and flagrant refusal to comply with the economic provision. Ayaw talagang ipatupad yung salary increase, 4 years na. Di ba? So yan po ay unfair labor practice. Kaya wala ng jurisdiction ng voluntary arbitrator, ang may jurisdiction na dyan ay ang labor arbiter under Article 224. Pwede ba nating isubmit sa voluntary arbitrator ang unfair labor practice? Ang sagot, pwede naman. Kahit pa illegal dismissal. Provided there is an express agreement in the CBA that you are submitting illegal dismissal or unfair labor practice or other labor disputes to the jurisdiction of the voluntary arbitrator. Pag wala kayong ganyang agreement, you cannot do that. Why? Exclusive original ni arbiter yan. Hindi nyo pwedeng ipasa kay arbitrator kung walang express agreement. Okay? Now, the decision of the voluntary arbitrator shall become final and executory after 10 calendar days. 20 days lang ang binibigay sa kanya para magdesisyon. Pwede namang i-extend by agreement of the parties. But general rule, 20 days. From receipt, 10 calendar days. What do? You go to the Court of Appeals using Rule 43. Okay? Covered yan ng Section 1. Now, sa Section 4 nito, 15 days ang period to appeal. 10 days lang magiging final and executory. So what do? Sabi ng Korte Suprema, yung 10-day period, mag-file kayo ng motion for reconsideration. Okay? And after that, saka nyo gamitin yung 15 days para makapag-file kayo ng appeal sa Court of Appeal. So ayan yan, o grievance machinery. And then after that, you go to voluntary arbitration, file a motion for reconsideration. Pag na-deny yung motion nyo, you go to the Court of Appeals using Rule 43. You have 15 calendar days to do that kasi na-deny na yung motion mo. And then to the Supreme Court, Rule 45, 15 days on pure questions of law. Please do not use Rule 65. You can only use that if there's no plain available speedy remedy under the ordinary course of law. Okay? Now, what about strike? Strike is the temporary stoppage of work caused by the workers due to a labor dispute. Ang pangkontra naman ng employer dyan, lockout. Well, the refusal of the employer to furnish work because of a labor dispute. What about picketing? Ay ginagawa nyo ngayon, di ba? Inaantok na kayo, so nag-picketing na kayo. Huwag naman. Okay? Picketing is marching to and fro. Hindi kailangan ng strike para mag-picket at hindi kailangan ng picket para mag-strike. Iba ito. That's the exercise of your right to public assembly under Article 3, Section 4 of your Constitution. Okay? There are requisites of a valid strike. There must be a valid ground. Take note, 3 lang ang grounds niyan. Union busting happens when the employer dismisses the officers of the union. Okay? So yan ang mga grounds. Notify the NCMB. Nakalagay dyan, Department of Labor. NCMB is the proper body. Kailan yan? 30 days. Kapag ka economic strike or bargaining deadlock. 15 days pag unfair labor practice. Pag union busting, hindi nyo kailangan yung notice of strike, kundi i-notify nyo later o nakukunin nyo yung strike vote. So, yung 30 days or 15 days, we call that cooling off period. Pag no cooling off period for union busting, yan ang sabi ng Korte Suprema. Okay? Ano ang purpose ng cooling off period? Pag-uusapin kayo ng NCMB, employer at yung union, mag-usap kayo para matigil na yung strike, huwag na matuloy, o yung lockout hindi matuloy. Naghahanap ng solusyon. Dahil kung sinasabi, pagka cooling off, katulad ng mga jowa nyo, nag-cool off, naghahanap ng solusyon. Hindi naghahanap ng bagong karelasyon. Okay? Para hindi gumulo ang sitwasyon. O ngayon, nag-usap, wala na pag-usapan. Paalam nyo sa NCMB. Oy, NCMB, Bukas, kukunin namin ang strike vote. Anong purpose? Bakit nyo ipapaalam sa NCMB na kukunin nyo na yung strike vote? Ang purpose niyan para i-supervise ng NCMB. Para masiguro na wala talagang impluensya kayong ginawa doon sa mga workers. Kasi ang kausap ni employer yung mga officers eh. Di ba? Eh baka ma-impluensyahan yung mga miyembro. Oh, nakuha ang strike vote. Majority said, no, di kayo mag-i-strike. Eh di walang strike. Majority said, yes, mag-strike kami. Through secret balloting. Ha? Dalhin nyo ngayon yan sa NCMB. Okay? I-report ninyo yung strike vote. Now, kailan ba kukunin ang strike vote? You can get the strike vote even during the cooling off period. Pero, mag-observe pa rin kayo ng strike ban after the time you submitted to the NCMB the result of the strike vote. Okay? 7 days strike ban. Ano yon? From the time nag-submit kayo ng strike vote, di kayo pwede mag-strike. 7 days. Anong purpose niyan? Para malaman ng NCMB talaga bang desisyon ng majority na mag-strike kayo. Okay? So kailan magsisimula yung 7-day strike ban? Dito nagkakaguluhan sa bayanan eh. Kailan ba magsisimula yung strike ban kinuha nila during the strike the cooling off period. Kahit na kinuha yan during the cooling off period, yung 7-day strike ban magsisimula after the cooling off period. So plus 7. To give you a proper explanation, ito yan, nagbigay ka ng notice of strike June 1, cooling off period June 1 to July 1, 30 days. O, nag-usap, hindi naman nagkasundo. June 19, sabi mo kay NCMB, kukunin na namin yung strike vote. Eh di kinuha mo noong June 20, kasi 24 hours before mag-notify ka. Pwede mo na mai-submit ng June 20, pero pagod ka na eh. So June 21 na isasubmit. Okay? Submit na to the NCMB. So, patatapusin pa rin natin yung cooling off period. Kaya ang strike ban, July 1 to July 8, 7 araw. So you can have your strike on July 9. Remember, these requirements are mandatory. Pag hindi kayo nag-comply, your strike will become illegal. Okay? The union officers will be dismissed after due process. Now, the union members will not be dismissed. They can only be dismissed if they committed illegal acts. But mere participation in an illegal strike is not a ground for dismissal. Okay? Now, the secretary in the hospitals or medical institution, pwede na mag-strike, pero merong skeletal workforce. Okay? Hindi lahat sasama sa strike. Ang strike ay tigil trabaho. Now, the Secretary of Labor may assume jurisdiction when in his opinion, there exists a labor strike. Okay? O mag-strike o nag-strike na or lockout, take note, industry indispensable to national interest. That is discretionary on the part of the Secretary of Labor. So bakit siya nag-assume? Kasi hindi kanya yan eh. Hindi ka naman assuming pag sa'yo eh. Kanino bang jurisdiction yung illegality ng strike? Kay labor arbiter. So, what do you do? The Secretary of Labor will assume jurisdiction and resolve it. Decide. O illegal yung strike nyo, balik kayo sa trabaho. Eh, anong gagawin mo? Eh, di po, mag-file ka ng motion for reconsideration, then certiorari sa Court of Appeals. May mga pagkakataon na yung Secretary nag-assume ng jurisdiction, ayaw niya namang i-resolve. So, ano mangyayari? Ang gagawin dyan, isi-certify niya sa commission. NLRC yan. So doon na kayo mag-hearing sa NLRC, you follow the procedure at the NLRC. Okay? Sino mag-determine kung anong industry ang vital or not? The Secretary of Labor. Now, the President may also assume jurisdiction. If the Secretary can do that, the President can do that all the more. Okay? Now, pag ongoing na yung strike or lockout, automatic return to work yan. Okay? Or lockout, readmit the lockout employees. Otherwise, it will become illegal. Okay? Follow a return to work order. In fact, minsan walang return to work order. Basta nag-assume ng jurisdiction, you have to go back to work. And the employer is mandated to readmit the employees based on the terms and conditions prior to the strike or lockout. Okay? So kahit nag-comply na minsan, pagka nag-comply kayo doon sa lahat ng requirements, magkamali kayo ng isa, illegal yung strike nyo. Like, violation of Article 279. May violence in the conduct of the strike. Okay? Pwede ba ang mga foreigners ay makialam, sumama sa union? 2015 bar exam. Sagot, Article 284. Yes. Kung general rule, hindi. Kung siya ay may working permit at nanggaling siya sa isang bansa where Filipino workers are given the same rights. Okay? So who are the workers not covered by the labor code? All workers are covered by the labor code. Ang problema, government employees. Okay? Why? Article 291 disqualifies them from the coverage. International organization, why? They are operating under a treaty, they may have immunity from suit. So hindi sila covered ng labor code. Employees of local water districts, because these are created as quasi-GOCC under PD 198, so civil service covered. And corporate officers. Sino ang corporate officers? In case of Malcaba versus ProHealth Pharma, ang sabi niyang Corporation Code, Republic Act 11232, tatlo lang yan. President, Secretary, Treasurer, and such other officers as may be designated in the bylaws as corporate officers. Okay? So pag walang designation ng Vice President, hindi siya corporate officer. And kung may designation, corporate officer siya. So ano ang significance? Pag designated siya as corporate officer, the labor arbiter has no jurisdiction kasi hindi siya covered ng labor code. Ito ay intra-corporate dispute, RTC yan. Pag wala siyang designation as corporate officer, Matling Industrial Corporation versus Coros, the labor arbiter acquires jurisdiction. Okay? Maliwanag. Basahin yung Malcaba versus ProHealth Pharma. Hindi pamali. Now, the Department of Labor has no longer a power or authority over migrant workers with the creation of the Department of Migrant Workers under Republic Act 11641. Pati yung POEA and related agencies are now absorbed under Department of Migrant Workers. And we are sad, kamamatay lang nung matinong secretary nila, si Secretary Ople. Okay? And yung OWA, however, ay hindi na-absorb kasi may sariling charter ito at merong pondo yan. So, attached agency siya. Yan ay welfare agency para sa mga OFWs. Now, an OFW cannot file a case for illegal dismissal. Why? Let's say, isang taon yung kontrata niya, pinauwi siya after 6 months, wala naman siyang kasalanan. Parang illegal dismissal yan, di ba? Kasi without fault, without due process. The problem is, pag nag-file siya ng illegal dismissal, nag-order na reinstatement si arbiter, hindi naman ma-enforce yan sa abroad eh. Hindi naman susundin yan ng foreign employer eh. So kaya money claims lang. And money claims of OFWs are under the jurisdiction of the labor arbiter under Republic Act 8042. The labor arbiter has to decide within 90 days from the filing of the complaint. Okay? Ano ang money claims niya? Reimbursement of the placement fee. 100%. 12% interest on the placement fee per annum. At yung salary niya for the unexpired portion of the contract. Why? Yung phrase na whichever is less is declared unconstitutional. Serrano versus Gallant Maritime Services Incorporated and many other cases following that. Pati yung Aldovino versus Golden Green in 2017. Okay? So, para maka-engage sa recruitment and placement of workers, ang recruitment and placement for abroad or kahit local, meron yan. Kaya lang ang lagi palaging na highlight yung recruitment and placement for abroad. So, both kailangan ng lisensya. So, nag-i-issue na ngayon ng lisensya for OFW's recruitment ay Department of Migrant Workers. So, pag may lisensya ka, you can operate a recruitment agency. Okay? For land-based. Manning agency, pagka seafarers. Kailangan pareho ng license. Yung authority, noon pa yan. Kailangan ng amyendahan. Actually, na-amend na. So, i-revise na yung labor code. Okay? Now, pagka may lisensya, legal ang recruitment. Pag walang lisensya, illegal. Okay? So, binabanggit pa dyan sa Article 38, authority at saka license. Pag wala ka yan, and you engage in the recruitment and placement of workers, katulad nito sinasabi sa Article 13B, that's the definition of recruitment and placement, ay illegal yung recruitment. It was further defined under 8042 as amended by Republic Act 10,022. Okay? Ang sabi ni Justice Hernando dito sa People versus Coaching, Ayun, yung acts of illegal recruitment, wala kang lisensya, wala kang authority, you engage in enlisting, canvassing, contracting, transporting, etc. Okay? Now, yan ang sabi ha, tandaan yan, yung definition ng illegal recruitment. Now, kahit na may lisensya ka, nilabag mo pa rin yung mga sinasabi sa Article 34 as amended by 10,022, 8 to N na yan. Ha? You also take a look at Article 34, kasama dyan yung contract substitution sa paragraph I, kasama dyan yung withholding of travel documents sa paragraph K, and so on. Kahit may lisensya ka, illegal recruitment yan. Now, 2015 bar. When does the recruitment of workers become an act of economic sabotage? Sabi ng Article 38B, ito ay economic sabotage when committed by a syndicate or in large scale. Pag syndicated, ang sabi ng batas, you look at the number of perpetrators, 3 or more, conspiring or confederating. Okay? Yan din ang sabi ng Korte Suprema through Justice Hernando. Diba? 3 or more, conspiring or confederating to commit the acts of illegal recruitment. Walang lisensya. Now, large scale, you look at the number of victims, 3 or more, recruited individually or as a group. Okay? That's also the decision of the court in that case of People versus Coaching. Justice Hernando. 3 is the magic number. Anong penalty? The penalties are found in Article 39. But Article 39 has been amended twice already. Okay? Pag simple illegal recruitment, 12 to 20 years imprisonment. Economic sabotage, life imprisonment. At yung fine ay increase 1 to 2 million at saka 2 to 5 million. Now, may aggravating circumstance yan. If the victim or one of the victims is below 18, the court has to impose the maximum penalty. Okay? So clear tayo dyan sa illegal recruitment. Now, pwede lang magtrabaho sa Pilipinas ay mga Pilipino. Ang dami Pilipino walang trabaho eh. But if there's a determination that there is no Filipino is competent, able, and willing to do the job, pwede tayong mag-hire ng alien employees. Okay? Ang requirement, ayan, nandiyan sa inyong screen, at mag-train siya ng 2 understudies. Sino yon? Yung most ranking regular employees. Anong purpose? Para transfer ng technology. Maganda teknolohiya ng mga alien kaya hindi mahuli yung UFO, di ba? Okay, kailangan matutunan natin yan. Okay? Now, in 2017 bar exam, ito yung tanong. Distinguish a learner from apprentice. These are special category of employees under Book 2. An apprentice is undergoing training in an apprenticeable occupation, while a learner is being trained in a semi-skilled non-apprenticeable occupation at there is no experienced worker available. Kaya yung employer nag-hire ng learner. Yung apprentice, kailangan niyang i-train for whatever reason para matutunan niya yung occupation. Now, duration 3 to 6 months pag apprenticeship. Both of this must have an approved apprenticeship or learnership program by the TESDA. TESDA ang nag-approve niyan, TESDA board. Okay? Yung learnership not to exceed 3 months. Both of them must be compensated at least 75% of the minimum wage. But under Article 72 of the Labor Code, there's a possibility that a learner is not compensated. Why not? A requirement kasi yung apprenticeship niya, hindi learner, apprentice. Yung apprenticeship niya is requirement by the curriculum for graduation or taking of a board exam. So, hindi siya babayaran doon. Whereas, may commitment to hire the learner. Lahat ng learners may compensation. Walang learner na walang compensation. Okay? There's no commitment to hire the apprentice. Kaya, yung training cost, half of which can be deducted from the taxable income of the employer. But there is no such deduction from the taxable income of the employer in learnership. Because makikinabang si employer kay learner kasi i-hire niya ito pag natuto. Ngayon, if the employer dismisses the learner within the first 2 months of training without the fault of the learner, he is considered as a regular employee. Okay? So, take note of the field personnel. These are people working away from the employer's premises whose actual number of hours work cannot be determined with reasonable certainty. Okay? In the 2010 bar exam, tinanong yan, yung bus driver ba ay field personnel? Ang sagot, hindi. Although is working away from the employer's premises, we can determine the actual number of hours work with reasonable certainty. Okay? Yan. At may supervision. So yung no work, no pay policy, legal yan. Take note, the normal hours of work ay 8 hours. If the employee works beyond 8 hours, overtime work deserves overtime pay. Whereas premium pay is payment additional compensation for 8 hours of work kasi may special occasion. Now, under Article 88, you cannot offset undertime by overtime. Bakit? Mas mahal ang compensation sa overtime compared to undertime. Okay? Now, after 6 consecutive days of work, an employee is entitled to 24 consecutive hours of rest. Kailan ang kanyang rest period? Pag-usapan nyo considering the religious belief of the employee. Kasi mga kaibigan tayo na ang kanilang Sabbath ay Saturday, di ba? Mabigyan mo sa kanila yung rest day nila yon. Pag pinagtrabaho mo siya during rest day, bayaran mo siya ng additional 30% compensation. Okay? Premium pay yan. Ang overtime pay, it's either 25% or 30%. Ang premium pay, 30% or 50%. Kasi under Article 93, Paragraph C, rest day ng empleyado, about Monday, na taon na special holiday, Ninoy Aquino Day. Hindi siya nagtrabaho, wala lang. No work, no pay. Ay nagtrabaho siya, 50% ang kanyang premium pay. Okay? On the first 8 hours, ha? Pag nag-overtime siya, yung dadagdagan mo ng 30% yung 150%. Now, there are two kinds of holidays in the Philippines. You have special holidays. You have this in your screens under 9492. Idagdag pa natin sa All Saints Day, last day of the Ninoy Aquino Day, ay yung Immaculate Conception Day. These are special holidays. Sometimes, the President declares other special holidays. Ano ang rule? If the employee does not work, he gets paid. If the employee does not work, he does not get paid. No work, no pay tayo dito. Ha? Pag special holiday, no work, no pay. But if the employee works, he's entitled to additional 30% premium pay. Pag yung special holiday na tapat sa kanyang rest day, entitled siya sa 50% premium pay. Liwanag. Now, iba ang regular holiday. Pag regular holiday, the employee does not work, he gets 100%. Pag nagtrabaho siya, he gets 200%. Sinasabi ng Korte Suprema, yan ang sinasabi ng Labor Code. Specific kung anong mga araw ang regular holidays. You have this in your screens. From January to December, meron tayong regular holiday. Tandaan nyo, hindi nagbabago yan. Although movable yung Good Friday at saka Monday, Thursday. Okay? May karugtong pa yan. Ayan, hanggang December. Ano? Now, if there is election, by the way, dagdag ninyo yung dalawang Muslim holidays, Eid al-Fitr at saka Eid al-Adha. Parehong regular holidays yan. If there is election, general election, whether local, national, basta general election, regular holiday yan kasi nakalagay sa Article 94C. So ang holidays natin, regular holidays are 12. Pag may election, 13. Okay? Pag hindi nagtrabaho, bayad 100%. Pag nagtrabaho, 200. Paano kung dalawa ang holiday sa isang araw? Pag hindi siya nagtrabaho, 200%. One for each holiday. Pag nagtrabaho siya, 300%. Bakit? 1 plus 1 plus 1. Hindi 400, ha? Marami nagsasabi 400, 2 times 2. No, that's wrong. Lugi ang employer dyan. Yan ang regulasyon ng Department of Labor. And that was already affirmed by the Supreme Court in several cases. Ito, number 1 dyan yung tawag dito? Ayan, Nippon Paints case, ano? Now, sometimes tulad nung August 28, regular holiday, di ba? Rest day pala nung empleyado, yung Monday. Di siya nagtrabaho, 100%. Nagtrabaho siya. Magkano? 200% plus premium pay for rest day. So, 230. You read that case of Nippon Paints. Okay? Oh. Ang empleyado ay somehow pag employee siya doon sa mga restaurant, etc., hotels, may nakukolekt ng service charge. Yung service charge ay ibinibigyan sa mga empleyado. Under Republic Act 11360, dati may share ang employer, but under this law, wala na. Buong service charge ibabayad sa employees. Ngayon, pag itong service charge na ito tinigil, yung share ng employee ibabayad pa rin ng employer because it is integrated into the salary of the employee. Now, what about supplements? These are additional compensation. Small benefits. They're not deductible from the wages. Yan yung libreng lunch, libreng merienda, malilit na bagay. Not deductible. Ang ibinabawas ay yung facilities. So, ano yung mga facilities? These are items of expense necessary for the laborer or his family's existence. Halimbawa, yung apartment. May apartment si employer, patitirahin ka doon. Kung di ka tumira doon, magbabayad ka rin sa ibang apartment, di ba? So, pwedeng ibawas yung amount na yun sa sweldo mo. But there are requirements. Number one is voluntary at in writing. Number two, mayroong proof na talagang by the nature of the business of the employer, pinoprovide yan and charge at reasonable value. Under Article 100, bawal yung diminution of benefits. At idinagdag ng Korte Suprema yung company practice. The problem is, kailan ba nagiging company practice ang isang practice? Kasi sabi daw ng jurisprudence, sabi ng Korte Suprema, walang sinabi kailan talaga. Pwede 2 years, 3 years, 6 years. So it depends on the circumstances. Pag binigay ito ng employer, di niya pwedeng bawiin. Oo naman, binigay mo na eh. Di ba? Now, nauso yung mga contractor at job contractor. Take note, sabi ng Korte Suprema, the presumption is every contractor is presumed to be labor-only contractor. Bawal yan. So how do you overcome the presumption? By presenting proof that you have a legitimate contracting business. That you have a business different and distinct from the employer or yung principal. Halimbawa, hotel, security agency, magkaiba negosyo eh. The contractor, yung security agency, contractor yan, di ba? Mas substantial capital or investment. Hindi lang capital, pati investment, pati office equipment. Okay? Magkano ang substantial capitalization? It's 5 million pesos. Not less than 5 million pesos paid up capital. Paid up capital. Okay? Under Department Order 174. And in the contract, there is a guarantee of occupational safety and health standards, the right to self-organization, security of tenure. Yung mga guardian, security of tenure dun sa agency, hindi dun sa hotel na pinagbabantayan niya. And other social welfare benefits. Whereas labor-only contracting is prohibited, there is no law penalizing them, either fine or imprisonment. So anong pinaka-penalty sa labor-only contractor? Yung isinupply niyang tao, yan sa labor-only contractor, yung tao lang sinusupply niya magiging empleyado ng principal. So yung security agency, hindi pala talaga contractor, nag-supply ng gwardiya, magiging empleyado ito ng hotel sa example natin kanina. Now, merong independent contractor, sabi ng Korte Suprema, sinong independent contractor? They have their talent, they offer them to the employer, walang control si employer sa kanila. In this case of GMA Network, Paraheli versus GMA, yung mga cameramen, hindi independent contractor. They are regular employees. Maliwanag. Isa rin paboritong tinatanong yung wage distortion. Take note of the elements. There is an increase in the prescribed wage rate. Ano ba yung prescribed wage rate? The prescribed wage rate refers to the minimum wage. Okay? Pag nag-increase kasi ang minimum via wage order under Article 123, hindi naman across the board. I'll give you an example. Ito So 570 yung minimum wage. Ang sumunod sa kanya ay mas mataas. Intentional wage classification. Baka siya ay seniority, performance, baka mas close kay boss. Ayan. Ito naman baka supervisor, mas malaki. Ito manager, mas mataas na siya. Nag-order ang wage board ng wage increase under 123, 40 pesos. So naging 610. Is there elimination? There is no elimination. But there is severe contraction. Nawala. Piso na lang ang diferensya. Papayag ka ba kung ikaw si employee B? Hindi. Diba? So there is wage distortion. Kung across the board sana, walang problema ang distortion. But the problem, when the wage increase is via a wage order, it is just the minimum wage that is increasing. If you are earning above the minimum, you're no longer included in the increase. That results into wage distortion. Okay? Elimination or severe contraction. So, favorite question, how do we correct wage distortion? It depends on the industry. If it is organized, via grievance machinery and voluntary arbitration. Pinag-usapan na natin kanina. If it is unorganized, well, you have to endeavor to correct that between the employer and the worker. Problem is, wala silang union. So you can ask for the assistance of the NCMB, National Conciliation Mediation Board, within 10 days. Pag within 10 days hindi pa rin na-resolve, hindi naman pwede magbigay ng award ng NCMB, mangyayari sa atin yan, you go to the labor arbiter for compulsory arbitration. Nakalagay dyan, NLRC, but take note, arbitration branch, appropriate branch, so arbiter yan. Okay? Now, hindi sumusunod ng employer sa minimum wage. Pwede nating idemanda via Article 128, visitorial enforcement power yan. Article 128 has no jurisdictional amount. So, inisyuhan ng compliance or inspection order, what does the employer do? Mag-comply ka para wala ng problema or i-appeal mo or i-contest mo under Article 128B. Contested cases yan, i-refer yan kay arbiter. Pag di mo kinontest, mag-appeal ka kay secretary within 10 calendar days. Pag tinanggihan ka, file a motion for reconsideration kasi you exhaust all administrative remedies because you are using Rule 65. You have 60 calendar days to do that. Now, kung gusto mong ipastop yung execution dahil Rule 65 yan, ask for TRO. Pag hindi na issue, pagpa-execute sila. And then natalo sa Court of Appeals, you go to the Supreme Court, Rule 45, you have 15 days to do that on pure questions of law. Now, Article 129 is also a power of the regional director. But take note, 3 elements must be present. You have this in your screens at yung 5,000 pesos jurisdictional amount. Take note, the employee is no longer employed, does not seek reinstatement. Kasi pag seeking reinstatement, kay labor arbiter yan. All of these elements must be present. Otherwise, walang jurisdiction ang regional director. Okay? So, ito yan. To illustrate, money claims. Punta ka, appeal ka sa NLRC. 5 calendar days. Codal, Article 129. Talo yung appeal mo, file a motion for reconsideration, 10 calendar days. Why 10 days? Yun ang rule ng NLRC, di ba? Ngayon, mas mahaba pa yung MR kaysa dun sa original period. Ganun talaga eh. Kaya nga, walang masyadong jurisprudence yan kasi walang masyado nag-a-appeal. 5,000 lang yan eh. Then, you go to the Court of Appeals, certiorari, and then Supreme Court. Okay? Embedded in our Constitution is the protection for women, kahit naman sa Labor Code. One of them is sexual harassment law. Okay? Paano ba yung sexual harassment in the workplace, education, training, environment? Doon lang nakukumit yan. Sexual harassment in the workplace is committed when the sexual favor is made as a condition for employment, promotion, continued employment, and other privileges. Okay? Now, take note that sexual harassment is abuse of power. At 3 kaso ang pwede niyong i-file pagka nagkaroon ng sexual harassment. Criminal, civil, and administrative. And even men can file cases of sexual harassment. Yay! Diba? Sa wakas. Ngayon, ang sexual harassment kailangan ng moral ascendancy. So pag walang moral ascendancy, ang nangaharas sa iyo, co-worker mo, ipasok mo doon sa Safe Spaces Act. Republic Act 11313, hindi diyan kailangan ng moral ascendancy. Because the employers are mandated by this law to impose policies that would prevent, deter, and punish the acts of gender as based sexual harassment in the workplace. If they do not do that, they can be fined. Diba? Yan. So, women workers are entitled to maternity leave regardless of the legitimacy of the child. So, married o hindi, may maternity leave. Parang hindi palaging tinatanong ito, just in case, 105 days yan with pay. Pagka siya ay married or may partner, mayroong option to continue it for 30 days without pay. Pag solo parent, 120 days total. With an option to extend for 30 days. Now, Unlimited pregnancy, hindi katulad dati, 4 lang. Ito unlimited, kahit ilang ulit na pagbubuntis may maternity leave. Pag miscarriage, 60 days lang. Iba ang computation. Now, mahigpit ang paternity leave. So kaya, ito, pwedeng ipasa yung 7 days, mababawasan yung kanyang maternity leave. Okay? Now, if paripasa niya doon sa kanyang partner o sa sino man nag-alaga sa kanya, if the female worker dies, yung natitirang maternity leave ay pwedeng ipasa doon sa nag-alaga sa kanya o doon sa tatay ng anak niya. Okay? Take note of the penalties, ha? May pagkakulong yan at may fine. Now, under Republic Act 8187, may paternity leave, kaya lang mahigpit. The man must be married and cohabiting with the wife. At 7 working days, may bayad siya. Si employer ang magbabayad. Yung maternity leave, SSS, pero ina-advance ni employer. Hanggang 4 na deliveries lang ang paternity leave. Hindi katulad doon sa maternity leave. Unlimited. Okay? Pag di niya nagamit yung paternity leave, not converted into cash. Ngayon, kung hindi sila kasal, wala siyang paternity leave. So kaya, pwede siyang manghingi doon sa partner niya. May penalties din ito, imprisonment at fine. Now, under a new law, Republic Act 11861, ito naman, actually, amendment lang ito ng lumang Solo Parent Welfare Act. May 7-day solo parent leave. Okay? Every year. With or without reason, pwedeng gamitin ng solo parent yan. Take note of that. Pwedeng tuloy-tuloy, pwedeng staggered. Take note also of the categories of solo parents under Republic Act 11861. Binago yung mga provision. Okay? Now, under the Magna Carta of Women, female faculty members are not to be dismissed even if they got pregnant outside of marriage. Bakit? Pinaasa nga sila At bibiktimahin mo pa nang tatanggalin mo sa trabaho. Di ba? Pregnancy outside of marriage is not a disgraceful or immoral conduct. Take note, if there are no impediments to marry each other. Okay? Kahit na ito yung policy halimbawa ng eskwelahan, mga sectarian school kasi mabigat ang policy, hindi po pwede yung mga hindi married, etc. Nabuntis na ikipag-live-in lang. Hindi pwedeng tanggalin yan. You have that case of Leios versus Scholastics College at saka yung Union School na sumunod na kaso dyan. Ganon din ang ruling. No? Now, in the case of Saudia versus Revisencio, tinatanggal ng airline kapag yung flight attendant nagbubuntis. Sabi ng Korte Suprema, that's illegal. Okay? Under the Magna Carta of Women, itong mga babae na nagkaroon ng gynecological problem resulting into surgery ay may 2 months leave with pay. Public o private man yan. Provided in a 12-month period, nakatrabaho sila at least 6 months. At certified by a competent physician na sila ay nagkaroon nga ng gynecological problem resulting into surgery. Okay? Now, another kind of worker ay yung mga children who are working. Now, under this law, Republic Act 9231, amending the Labor Code, no child below 15 will be allowed to work, except when he works directly under the responsibility of a parent or guardian. Pero hindi apektado yung kanyang schooling. Kasi mas importante yung kanyang kinabukasan. Now, assuming pinagtrabaho yung bata, pagka below 15 years old, 4 hours a day lamang at 20 hours per week. So 5 days lang. Walang overtime. Above 15 but below 18, 8 hours a day, 40 hours per week. So 5 days lang yan. Okay? Hindi pwedeng magtrabaho yung bata na below 15 between 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. the following day. Obviously, yung health ng bata ang concern natin, di ba? Now, pagka above 15, below 18, bawal yung 10 to 6 a.m. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So wala sila night shift differential pay. Okay? Now, under Republic Act 10361, ni-repeal yung provision ng Labor Code on Domestic and Household Service. Ito yung batas kasambahay. Who is a kasambahay? Section 4 of Republic Act 10361 defines a kasambahay. Sa general house help, yaya, cook, gardener, laundry person. Pero kung yung laundry person nyo, tinatawag nyo lang once a week or twice a week, hindi nakatira sa inyo, hindi mag-a-apply sa kanya ito. Kasi hindi siya kasambahay. Yan ang sabi ng Section 4. Kasi sporadic lang, hindi occupational. Okay? Well, it depends on the circumstances. Ano ba yung usapan ninyo? May mga kontrata yan eh. Yan ang sabi ng Korte Suprema. Now, what about the family driver? Ang family driver ba ay kasambahay? Kasi kasama siya dati dun sa definition ng labor code. Ang sagot ng Korte Suprema, no. Ang mga family drivers are no longer included in the term kasambahay because they are not in the enumeration under Section 4, Republic Act 10361. So kuwawa naman yung family driver. Hindi na rin mag-a-apply yung labor code kasi repealed na nga eh. So what law governs the employment of family drivers? It's the civil code. Saluta versus Atienza versus Saluta. It's the civil code provisions that apply to the employment of family drivers. Alam niyo ang family drivers, di ba, nakatira dun sa family. Di ba? Hindi siya yung pumupunta lang pagkailangan. O, maliwanag. Yun. Now, what about a home worker? Aba, ang home worker, ganito yan. Kinukuha niya yung trabaho niya dun sa yung materials from the employer, brings the materials to his own home, and then gagawin niya. Finished product, babalik niya kay employer, babayaran siya, piece rate. Okay? Now, may mga prohibited homeworks, ha? Sana may ganun sa law school, prohibited homework. Ano ba yun? Ito yung involving explosives, drugs, at saka mga toxic materials. Minors can be allowed to be home workers and, except that they have to comply with the requirements of Republic Act 9231 at saka yung Republic Act 7610, the Anti-Child Abuse Law. Now, under Republic Act 10151, nandyan yung night workers. Hindi kasama dito yung nasa agriculture, doon sa inter-island shipping and the likes. So, before engaging in night work, kailangan mayroong medical or health assessment. At yung health assessment at regular intervals, and also, yan dapat ay pag naka-experience ng health problems, magkaroon ng medical examination. With the finding that they are not fit for work during nighttime, dapat sila ay bigyan ng daytime duties without diminution of benefits. Pregnant women should not be assigned at nighttime for 16 weeks. Sabi ng batas, to be divided before and after childbirth. Kasi hindi lahat ng tao kaya magtrabaho sa gabi, lalo na may mga special health conditions. Okay? Now, we have the SSS law. Take note of the coverage. You have compulsory coverage, employers, employees, and self-employed. Kakay abogado, ayaw nyo maging employee, mag-self-employed kayo, mag-member kayo sa SSS. Doon naman sa voluntary, separated members, hindi ito yung mga single, so natanggal sa trabaho. OFW, non-working spouses of SSS members. Ano ang mga benepisyo sa SSS? Siyempre, ito, nandiyan sa screen ninyo. Pag naubos na yung sick leave, may sakit ka naman talaga, you can file sickness benefit sa SSS. Okay? Now, what about retirement? Sa SSS, kumukuha ng pension ang mga private sector employees. Provided they're 60 years old and no longer employed at nakapag-contribute at least 10 years, 120 monthly contribution. Now, pag 65, whether employed or not, pwede na mag-pension, mag-retire sa SSS if they have also completed 120 monthly contributions. Okay? Ngayon, umabot na ng 65. Hindi pala na-kompleto yung 120 monthly contributions. Pwede na bang bayaran na lamsam yun? Bawal. So, hindi siya makapag-pension. Isipin niya, baka nakapag-contribute siya doon sa GSIS. Under Republic Act 7699, the Limited Portability Law. Yung contribution niya sa GSIS, idadagdag sa contribution sa SSS para ma-enjoy niya yung benefits ng retirement at pension sa SSS law. And vice versa. Kasi baka dati siyang covered ng SSS, nagpunta sa GSIS, 15 years at least ang nire-require ng GSIS, yung contribution niya doon, idadagdag natin sa contribution niya sa GSIS para ma-enjoy niya yung kanyang pension. Pero once niya lang gagawin niya. Kaya minsan, members ng GSIS nagko-contribute voluntary sa SSS, pwede yung pinapayagan. Okay? So for government employees, you have the GSIS law, Republic Act 8291. Covered nito lahat ng government employees except members of the judiciary. May sarili silang retirement Tsaka yung Constitutional Commission. Of course, you know what are these constitutional commissions. Tapos na kayo ng political law, di ba? Contractual employees, yung mga job order employees, contract of service, emergency employees, hindi sila empleyado ng gobyerno. So hindi sila covered yan. Plus, yung mga uniform members ng Armed Forces, PNP, BJMP, and Bureau of Fire Protection. Hindi sila covered ng GSIS, may sarili silang retirement plan. Pero yung mga civilian employees dito sa mga agencies na ito, covered ng GSIS. Okay, what are the benefits? Of course, all the benefits that you could enjoy under the SSS law, meron din sa GSIS law. Okay? Liwanag. So, all of this are taken from this book, published by Rex Bookstore, our sponsor this afternoon, Constitutional Law 1, Constitutional Law 2. By the way, yung Labor 2023 edition yun, latest yun. Public International. And you can also go to this YouTube channel and this Facebook group, pero sagutin ang mga tanong. Okay? At sa September 18, meron tayong question and answer. You can join us. Okay? YouTube live. And finally, sabi sa Matthew chapter 7 verse 7, ask and it will be given unto you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. So do that so that you would pass the bar. It is my prayer that all of you would join us in the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. See you during the oath-taking at oath-taking na yata doon sa December 22 this year. So good luck everyone and have a good day. Thank you.